He's lost.
Really? Hey, this is Mike. This is Mike. Look, it's a surprise. Yeah.
It takes a village to tell this story. He's a valuable member of the village. Yes. Check, 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 test, test, test. 1, 2, 1, 2, test, test. This is the volume level that I hope everyone speaks at, but I'm probably the loudest one. So check, 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 test, test. Test 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. Check, 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 check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Everybody go. I'll stop there. Just waiting for one more media member.
If we could have the speakers form up and everyone's going to be standing behind the speakers.
So. Yeah, so don't look at me, look at them. They're going to get some shots. So we're not gonna.
Oh.
You'll have to
Oh, I can
attach
put it
here.
down. That's fine. I'll have my stand. I'll put it under the straw.
How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Are you kidding?
This wind.
It's
At least it's
apparently Mother Nature found out about this today.
not. Yeah. At least it's not raining.
Yeah.
Second lag, so just give me the thumbs up and we'll start the live stream when you're ready.
Those that are still setting up, just give me a hand wave when you're ready to go. You're good? All right. You good? Everybody's good? You're good? Okay, we're going to start. And Mr. Neiman,
We're going to start. I'll make sure it's going.
we're going to start. Good? No?
We're just waiting for the live.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Petty Officer Michael Himes of the U.S. Coast Guard. I'm the Public Information Officer for the St. Simons Sound Incident Response. Thank you all for being here today at Mayor's Point Terminal, the Georgia Ports Authority. This is an active port, so please practice good safety measures. We've got many people out here that are making sure that traffic is not getting in the way, but because it's an active port, we ask you to keep your head on a swivel. I'm going to introduce our speakers. We have about 15 minutes of statements from all of our major representatives here. I'm also going to spell out their names for you. So our in order is Commander Efren Lopez, E-F-R-E-N-L-O-P-E-Z, U.S. Coast Guard Federal On-Scene Coordinator. And Mr. Chris Graff, C-H-R-I-S-G-R-A-F-F, the Response Director for Gallagher Marine Systems, Responsible Party Representative. And we have Mr. Matt Cook, M-A-T-T-C-O-O-K-E, Project Manager for TNT Salvage, Lead Wreck Removal Contractor. And we have Mr. John Maddox, M-J-O-H-N-M-A-D-D-O-X. He is the Emergency Response Manager for the Environmental Protection Division of the Georgia Department of Natural Resources. Then lastly, we have Mr. Tyler Jones, T-Y-L-E-R-J-O-N-E-S. He's the Public Information Officer for the Coastal Resources Division of the Georgia Department of Natural Resources. We want to emphasize today the historical significance of removing the Golden Ray wreck, and our speakers will emphasize that. After the speakers finish, I'll come back up to take questions and also to coordinate some one-on-one interviews with our workforce that is available for you today. So with that, Commander.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us. As he mentioned, I'm Commander Efren Lopez with the U.S. Coast Guard, Federal On-Scene Coordinator. I'm responsible for overseeing and reviewing the work performed to ensure compliance with the Oil Pollution Act, National Contingency Plan, and the Clean Water Act, fulfilling the Coast Guard's strategic roles of ensuring the safety, security, and stewardship of the nation's waters. We have accomplished a great feat. Over the last 2 years, we've rescued 23 crew members, 4 of which were stuck inside the engine compartment for over 30 hours, none sustaining life-threatening injuries. Now we have completed the largest wreck removal in U.S. history. From the beginning, we knew this was going to be an extremely difficult and complicated operation. Experts from around the world were brought in to ensure success. We developed plans around a clear objective: eliminating the wreck while safeguarding lives, the environment, and commerce. We adapted those plans as lessons were learned in order to keep our objectives in focus. Collaboration, cooperation with agencies like the Army Corps of Engineers, NOAA, Custom and Border Patrols, and many more were essential as we activated an extensive array of assets, initiate layers of mitigation strategies, and responded to complex challenges. Our responders have performed over 3 million man-hours in an extremely difficult and dangerous operation, maintaining an unimpeachable safety record. Thank you to all our safety officers and all our workers behind me for making safety a priority. COVID impacted our response, and it was across many fronts, by creating slowdowns in the fabrication of critical wreck removal equipment, mostly threatening the lives of our responders. Our personnel immediately took actions. We established COVID policies and mitigation efforts, showing extremely successful. We've had excess of 10,000 personnel rotations with only 50 confirmed COVID cases. That's less than half of 1%, compared to over 10% throughout the nation. We had 0 reported cases in our Tier 1 bubble, which contained most of our most critical personnel. That shows a perfect example of how the team gathered and established some policies to ensure the safety of our most critical personnel. I'd like to thank Congressman Carter and Glenn County Department of Health for assisting us with getting our responders vaccinated, tested, and supporting our COVID policy. We also endured several severe weather events, 2 extremely busy hurricane seasons, along with extreme tidal shifts that constantly threaten the safety of our operations here. With the help of the National Weather Service, our staff monitored every heavy weather event, and we established our heavy weather plan as necessary, securing equipment, vessels, and facilities, as well as our safety of our responders. Sorry, a little windy. With all these obstacles that we face, we completed the wreck removal in a timely manner. This could not have been accomplished without the collective hard work of all our personnel, nor without the partnerships across public and private sectors. Unified efforts from all levels of government, the salvage industry, and the environmental response industry contributed to the completion of this historic heavy lift. The team has established a playbook to be used throughout the world on events of this nature. Lastly, 0 taxpayer dollars are being spent on this response. The Oil Liability Trust Fund has reimbursed over $20 million in costs incurred by federal and state agencies. The trust is funded by tax imposed on domestic and imported oil. The responsible party remains fully engaged and continues to support the resources required to accomplish our objectives. As you will learn from all the other representatives speaking today, this incident response is not complete. The Coast Guard will continue to assist the state of Georgia and the responsible party throughout the completion of all activities. It is an honor for me to represent the Coast Guard during the removal of the Golden Ray. And on behalf of the Coast Guard, we appreciate all the community support and hospitality. I would like to personally thank the other members of the Unified Command, Hyundai Glovis, and TNT Salvage for all their efforts to make this a successful operation. And now I'll pass this on to Chris Graff. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Commander Lopez. My name is Chris Graff. I'm the Director of Response Services for Gallagher Marine Systems and the Responsible Party Incident Commander and part of the Unified Command. On behalf of the owners and the representatives, we just want to thank everyone that's been involved in this response from the very beginning. It's an exciting day and time for us. Many of us have been here since day one, and we're excited about this process. We still have work to do. There's so many people that have been involved from this response from the very beginning. Originally, John Smith was here. They worked on project. We had oil spill removal organizations on site. We had safety officers, as Commander pointed out, everywhere. And everyone has been committed since the beginning to see this through to the end. And many of those people are standing behind me that have been here all this whole time. So I just want to thank those on behalf of the owners and their representatives. Although we're not finished with this project, there's a huge milestone we've just reached. In addition to the responders out here that are around here and the ones that have come and gone, we also want to thank all the agencies. There's numerous agencies, as Commander pointed out, that have been helping us along the way. We also want to thank the stakeholders, the communities, and the public for their assistance and patience while we tackled this enormous task. I personally want to thank fellow members of the Unified Command, Commander Lopez, John Maddox from the DNR, Doug Haymans from DNR, Commander Witt in the early days, Captain Bear, as well as the MSU staff that have been involved, and my entire incident management team. I also want to thank all of the TNT folks who've entered the bubble and have stayed away from their families this entire time, and we just want to thank them for all that they've done. When this grounding occurred over 2 years ago, we mobilized personnel from around the country and around the world. It did not take long for us to realize we'd be battling an incredibly challenging operation, especially coupled with extreme environmental conditions, 8-foot tides, strong currents, severe weather, close proximity to the major shipping channel, and an area surrounded by sensitive marsh habitat. And that was all before we realized we'd have to also deal with a worldwide pandemic. In one of our first press conferences that some of you guys were at, you may have remembered I stressed that this would be a long and complicated endeavor. We also stressed at that point that we'd expect to have pollution, discharges, fires, noise, and other events associated with this project. The owners and their representatives have invested hundreds of millions of dollars to make every effort to minimize those impacts on the environment, to commerce, and to the public. After removing as much fuel from the ship as could be safely done, we knew there would still be more fuel on board when we did the salvage operation, the wreck removal. And we'd have to make every effort to battle those discharges. We implemented protection strategies outlined in the area contingency plan and made adjustments and improvements such that that plan is probably the most tested and vetted plan in the country. Excuse the wind here. The team utilized many tried and true strategies and tactics to deal with oil impacts, from on-water recovery, shoreline treatment and recovery, continued overflights. The teams conducted regular surveys by foot and by boat, covering more than 200 miles of segmented shoreline. They walked and by boat covered more than 5,000 miles to date. We created new plans and tactics to mitigate the release of debris traveling to the shorelines and organized recovery program to properly recover, categorize, and dispose of any debris. To date, the teams have recovered approximately 8,000 pounds of ship-related debris from the shores and marsh, and 9,500 pounds of just standard non-ship-related trash. So the beaches and the marshes are probably as clean as they've been in many years. We implemented a first-of-its-kind specially designed environmental protection barrier, which Matt Cook from TNT Salvage will discuss. The EPB is one component of a multi-layered pollution mitigation plan, which includes several pollution recovery resources inside and outside of the barrier, along with continued overflights. 26,000 feet of protection boom that was put throughout sensitive areas within the sound, and it's been maintained all this time. Our plan was to ensure each layer, including the EPB, would work dynamically within a system that would maximize for pollution mitigation. While this system didn't eliminate shoreline impacts, it did significantly decrease any shoreline impacts. We mobilized specialized natural resource advisors to monitor all wildlife who continue to be out there today, as well as terrestrial and subsea noise level monitors. We mobilized people from Tri-State Bird Rescue and Recovery to carefully capture, successfully rehabilitate any wildlife during this response. As I stated before, we're not done, and our teams will continue to scour the shorelines and the marshes for debris and any potential impacts. When the seafloor is cleaned and the EPB is dismantled, those teams will still be here doing their duties for many months to come. Again, we would like to thank all of those people thus far that have been involved in this project. We also want to especially thank the community, this wonderful community that we've been involved with here and became such a part of. We want to thank them for their hospitality and their patience. Many of our team members have made lifelong friends here and some have even come to take up residency here. They fell in love with this area and they've worked so hard to protect it. Thank you all for coming, and now I'll turn it over to Matt Cook from TNT Salvage.
Thank you, Chris. My name is Matt Cook, project manager for TNT Salvage and the wreck removal team since we arrived in St. Simons in January of 2020. Standing behind me are Jim Conroy and Siggy Finnbogensen, our salvage masters who have been critical during this operation. Our team was composed of industry experts and subcontractors, including CombiLift, Weeks Marine, Versabar, Mars, SmartFab, TNT Subsea, and many others. Our partnership with Epworth by the Sea allowed for COVID mitigation strategies that kept the project on track, all while working under the guidance of the U.S. Coast Guard and Georgia Department of Natural Resources. Our founder, Rudy Teichman, would say people are everything. This project has been and will continue to be made possible by the skill and hard work of people, from divers and welders to engineers and vessel crews to cooks and housekeepers, and so many more that I could not possibly name today. The removal operation began last summer with the construction of a mile-long environmental protection barrier, namely the EPB, enclosing an area of 30 acres around the wreck. This barrier was the first of its type and was designed to minimize the release of floating hydrocarbons and large pieces of debris into the St. Simons Sound, all while allowing commerce to continue unimpeded in this important waterway. Through a combination of careful engineering, operational planning, and determined work, the team solved the many challenges of large section demolition of roll-on, roll-off vessels. The one-of-a-kind VB 10,000, a U.S. flagged crane barge, was a key asset in the operation. Over the past 10 months, the system completed 7 highly technical chain cuts and made some of the heaviest salvage lifts in history. 45 1,000 short tons of material, including wreck cargo and mud, have been lifted during the operations. This complex operation required prudent and practical adjustments and lessons learned to be incorporated to increase safety, efficiency, and lead to a successful outcome. TNT takes safety very seriously, and we are proud of the track record of this project. The team has managed the COVID outbreak, the May 2021 fire, pollution discharges, and difficulties in cutting the wreck while ensuring the safety of all responders and the public, while minimizing the environmental impact and steadily moving towards this event, removal of the Golden Ray wreck from the Sound. Over the next weeks and months, a thorough removal of remaining debris from the seafloor and dismantling of the EPB will proceed, returning the Sound to its pre-incident state. As the project continues into a new phase of final cleanup, TNT Salvage and all of the wreck removal team would like to thank the community of the Golden Isles for its hospitality shown to us over the last 2 years. I'll now hand it over to John Maddox.
Thank you, Matt. Good morning, everybody. My name is John Maddox. I'm the State On-Scene Coordinator with Georgia EPD. During the first few days of this response in September of 2019, the Unified Command, which includes Georgia DNR, implemented water quality and air quality monitoring plans in order to ensure our response objectives of human health and environmental safety. The samples associated with the water quality plan were collected to identify water quality impacts in close proximity to the ship itself. Additionally, some of these sample locations were aligned with ambient water quality sampling locations currently and previously used by EPD, which will help put the results in historical context. The current sampling data set consists of over 30,000 individual data points. Based on the review of these data points, EPD has not identified any long-term or persistent impacts to water quality. We will continue to monitor and evaluate water quality and coordinate with our agency partners. The Response Air Monitoring Team has collected millions of data points throughout the wreck removal operation. While we have observed and extinguished fires at the wreck site, air quality analysis confirmed no exceedances of air quality standards. I want to be clear, oil and other fluids have been released from the Golden Ray on numerous occasions. The removal of the debris from the wreck site and at least 2 sampling events will be conducted once all ship-related debris is removed to determine compliance with Georgia water quality standards. While pollution threat continues to reduce, it has not been eliminated. Any debris or oil identified in the months or years to follow will be mitigated by responsible party contractors. We look forward to continuing an effective operational partnership with the responsible party and the U.S. Coast Guard as we work towards restoring St. Simons Sound to its baseline conditions. I'd like to turn this over to Tyler Jones with DNR Coastal Resources Division. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Good morning. My name is Tyler Jones. I'm a Public Information Officer with DNR's Coastal Resources Division here in Brunswick. The removal of this section is the culmination of a careful coordination between the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, our partners with the United States Coast Guard, the responsible party, TNT Salvage, and numerous other agencies and organizations, including Gallagher Marine. Throughout this more than 2-year process, everyone has worked tirelessly to remove the Golden Ray wreck while ensuring that the health of our estuaries, the safety of our responders, and the value of the commerce in the Port of Brunswick. The Coastal Resources Division of DNR is entrusted as the steward of our coastal environment. Long before the Golden Ray's grounding, our biologists, technicians, and staff members were charged with collecting data, performing water quality testing, and managing our natural and sociocultural resources for the benefit of present and future generations. We've continued this mission throughout the Golden Ray incident. Our ecological monitoring trawl survey, which collects data at 6 sites in the St. Simons Sound every month, has not observed any oiled shrimp, blue crab, or finfish. Our shellfish and water quality unit has not detected impacts from the incident, and our wetlands biologists have worked hand in glove with the response personnel to mitigate the impacts of oil on our marshes and shorelines. We will continue to monitor and assess these conditions side by side with the Unified Command over the next several months. This continued monitoring will include scanning the shorelines for new debris or oil impacts, and we have been assured that crews will respond quickly when treatment is required. These activities will continue throughout the process of cleaning up the wreck site and removing the environmental protection barrier. In the end, the United States Coast Guard, DNR, and the responsible party will inspect each segment of the 200 miles of response-monitored shorelines for oil and debris. This process will continue until we are satisfied that no further treatment or mitigation is required. This months-long inspection process is the climax of years of dedication to our objective of safeguarding the shoreline and restoring the Sound. Lastly, I want to remind the public that we are Georgians, and we've dedicated our careers in the service of our environment. We are committed to sustaining, enhancing, protecting, and conserving our natural resources for the benefit of present and future generations. If you have any questions about our environmental stewardship in coastal Georgia, you can contact me directly at tyler.jones@dnr.ga.gov. Thank you for your time. I'm going to hand it back over to our PIO, Petty Officer Himes.
All right, this time we'll take questions. I'll direct, or if you could direct the question to the speaker that you think would be best appropriate, we'll have them come up, and then after some questions, we may break out into maybe some one-on-ones with some of the workforce that they highlighted during their statements. So raise your hand. Yes.
Question for Commander Lopez. I know you said taxpayer dollars weren't used to remove the wreckage, but do you know in total what a project like this actually costs to remove?
So the total dollar amount, I don't have those numbers. I think Chris Graff noted that there was a approximate dollar value. Since this operation is still ongoing, those final numbers won't even be available for several months down the road.
And are you able to talk a little bit about just the structure that we're seeing today? I mean, there's still some cars left over. Is that all related to the fire that we're looking at on the side here?
So I would go and defer that to Matt Cook, who's responsible with TNT, and they would be able to answer those questions. Thank you.
Sure. So yeah, behind us this is section 4. So one of the mid-body sections of the wreck. As you can see, there's damaged areas, which was one of the challenges that our team had to overcome in supporting it and bring it safely here to Mayor's Point. And then here you can see on this hopper barge are some of the cars that were removed. Some of these were under the water, some of these were still hanging in the piece, and these were all conducted to get all the cars as we continue with debris removal efforts.
Next question. Yes.
I have a question for Commander Lopez. Will any of the residents or fishermen be compensated for the damage done with oil and to the shorelines and the marshes?
There is a claims process, and that claims number has been made public, and they can file their claims through there, and they'll be evaluated and compensated as necessary or as appropriate.
Larry.
Matt, how are we getting the cars out of the cars, the decking, everything that's underneath the water inside the EPC? How is that coming out? When does that start? I know it's a multi-purpose question, but everybody's wondering, when is the BBT 10,000 leaving?
Sure. So that's our next step in the process is to get the assets demobilized that were currently used for removing the wreck, and now we switch into the next phase, which is debris removal. So over the next week, we'll start with the demobilization process of those assets, and then following that will be a series of events that will allow us to remove the remaining decks on bottom along with the cars on bottom. We have a series of crane barges here that will be supporting those operations. and so we can work to do simultaneous operations in removing both cars, decks, and other debris out there. And then as that is completed, we'll work towards removal of the EPB and the mesh netting surrounding the EPB.
I'll quickly add the red grab behind us right here. That's been used previously for debris removal, so that kind of gives context to that. Yes?
I'm not sure who this would go to, but if you guys could say anything to the people of Brunswick and Glynn County and St. Simon's Island about their patience throughout this very long 2-year process, would anyone have anything to say to anyone about that?
Well, yeah. So their hospitality, their cooperation, I know that at times there was, I know at times there was concerns that things weren't progressing as quickly as they would like to and so on like that, but the community as a whole, Glynn County, everybody's been very supportive, and every time we've reached out to the community, we've heard nothing but compliments, and we do appreciate all the support they've provided to us.
I just want to make sure I hit everybody once before I go back to Bob's. No?
I also don't know who this would go to,
Yes.
but there have been, I see, repeated calls from the Altahama Riverkeeper for a natural resources damage assessment. Is there any update on evaluating
Yes.
whether that's
John
possible?
Manis can speak directly to that.
So currently we're in the pre-assessment phase of the natural resource damage assessment. The state of Georgia has not designated a trustee for the NERDA process. Should that occur, we certainly will do that. But once all the wreck material, all the wreck debris is removed, then we'll be able to assess any impacts or injuries to the economy or the environment. So after it's all done, we'll take a look at that. So.
Okay, we're going to go back around. Yes?
Yeah, this may be a question for Matt Cook. If you could talk a little bit about, do you know what happens to the gold right now? Is it being recycled at all?
Yes, so in regards to the pieces of the Golden Ray, we have already 6 pieces that are have either arrived in Gibson, Louisiana, or are currently in transit. They are being recycled at the Mars facility in Gibson, Louisiana. It's a dismantling process, and then the metal is taken for scrap. The cars are also taken for scrap. The remaining 2 mid-body sections here will be in situ scrapped, so they'll be broken down into smaller pieces, placed on a barge, and then they will also transit down to Gibson, Louisiana.
More questions?
What part of this is covered by insurance, and what is the owner paying for?
So the vast majority of the response has been backed by the responsible party and their representatives. The commander in the beginning of the statement also referenced the disbursements from the Oil Liability Trust Fund. That process also concludes with an invoice that goes back to the RP as well. Any other questions? Yeah.
Did the environmental protection area work better or worse than had been projected at the start of all of this?
Yeah. So of course the EPB is unique in it being a first of its kind. I think it worked very well in terms of what we designed it to do. The goal of it being to protect the sound from large debris such as cars. So while we've done our surveys, we haven't seen any cars outside of the EPB. And so that was one of the major design features of the EPB. We've also had the ocean boom surrounding it. And during our discharges, that helped contain to allow us to mount a response and removal of that hydrocarbons.
Do we have any idea how many cars are down there? Ballpark?
Not right now. We're still assessing that. Now that once the VB10,000 is outside of the EPB, we'll be able to conduct a thorough hydrographic survey, and that will help us give an indication on what's left to remove.
Any idea when the VB10,000 is leaving? Is that today? Next week?
Projections are this weekend or into early next week.
Okay. Yes, Renata.
I have another one for Tyler Jones.
Yes.
I know you said no oil shrimp, blue crab, and then a certain type of fish. Why just those types of species are being looked at? Because I know we had a viewer send us a picture of a crab that was covered in oil.
Sure.
So is it a reason for that?
So we have an ecological monitoring trawl survey. It's a 54-foot modified lobstering vessel. It goes out with a 40-foot otter trawl net, and it surveys, in this sound, 6 sites every month. They're fixed stations, so they've been doing it for since the 1970s in this sound at basically the same locations. When we've had reports of oiled finfish, which is spotted sea trout, red drum, things like that, or shrimp or blue crab, which are primarily our commercial fisheries in this area, we have gone out looking for those. Although the public may have reported it, we've gone out looking for it to try to recreate that on multiple occasions and have not observed that at all. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Excellent. At this time, I'm going to just, oh, yes.
One more
Joe Willie. Yes.
I want to question the entire panel here by show of hands. Astro fans. Texas. I just want to see where everybody's sitting.
All right, great. At this time, those that will make themselves available for some interviews, if you could raise your hand, and I will, I'll just say what your role in the response was, so that folks here, if they want to have a one-on-one interview about that.
They're all available. That's why they're here.
Oh, they're all available. All right, well then I'm going to highlight some of the folks that are here.